Hello friends and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now last episode we got all of our summer crops planted, which you can see most of them here behind me, and we also started unlocking a little bit of the next tiers of automation. Now with those in hand, we can now start automating the creation of a few of our basic recipes, and that means we'll have a constant stream of income. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. So, in between episodes, I was spending a lot of time manufacturing a whole lot more of our avocado toast because we need a bunch of money this episode. So I spent a lot of time cranking through, making bread, slicing avocados, and making all that toast. Now, while I was doing that, I was shipping a whole lot of avocado toast, and I think I came to the notice of the health inspector. He stopped by and gave me this note, and it says that we are in violation of the health code. We cannot have our machines outside if we are selling food. So those machines there are going to be problematic for us. We are going to have to set up a new little space over here. I'm going to put a nice little shed together where we can spend all of our time manufacturing all of the ingredients we're going to be using. Namely, in this case, we're going to be using this to assemble a bunch of avocado toast. Now, we are going to have to continue to grow this over time. I've started with birch planks here as a good starting point. I'm also adding some spruce ladders here so that we can climb up and down. Underneath here is going to be my logistics floor, and above this is going to be our actual factory floor. So I'm doing this a little bit closer to how we tend to do things in Satisfactory. That'll give us a lot of room to build up here. Now, the first thing we need to set up here is our power source. We have those tiny water wheels over there, but we can now purchase larger water wheels on our way to actually getting steam power. So the first thing I'm going to do is buy ourselves a couple of large water wheels. That should be a good basis for power here. The other thing I'm going to do is buy a rotational controller so that we can control the speed of that water wheels coming off, or more precisely, the amount of torque that we can get off of them so that we can supply power to our factory. Now, I want our power to run in from the side here, probably down in this area. Now, where I've got all of my rich soil here growing, this is going to be the place that I think actually is going to become our main power area, our power plant, as it were. And let's just go ahead and build ourselves out a nice little platform right over here for all of those water wheels. This is going to need to be expansible over time, so we're going to build with that in mind here. I'm just going to put a shallow well so that we can collect the water in here. Now, one of the nuances of these large water wheels is, in addition to being very, very large, that we do have to control the direction that the water is flowing in them. It can only go in one direction here. So we need to put our actual controller here. Well, that's not where that goes. Okay, you know what? This is a good time to actually go ahead and buy up our wrench as well. We're definitely going to need one of those. Okay, so our cogwheel should go there. And now we can put our large water wheels directly onto this. So now we need to start building onto this so that we can get our water coming properly through this. Now it needs to be up and over the top of this, but it has to go in one direction, as I mentioned. So to do that, what we're actually going to need to do is build ourselves a little platform up here. And then this actually needs to come right off the edge here. So I know this is clipping, but unfortunately I think this is the only way I've found so far to keep the water flowing in the proper direction, is to actually have it clip through like that. If I remove this block, then all of a sudden the water is going to start going in the wrong direction, and we don't want that. And this can now turn into a shaft that comes into our facility somewhere around this slot here. So this will probably go up through this wall once we have it wired up. We're going to go ahead and increase our RPM here. Let's go ahead and speed this up to 64 for now. That's a good little clip, but not too fast, not too problematic for us. And now let's just start running our actual shafts through this column here that we've got, just like so. Okay, great. So that's going to give us our main source of power. And now we can buy up some fluid management. We're going to need mechanical pumps, and we are going to need fluid pipes. Now, this is going to allow us to create a source of infinite water that we can then use to actually pump into our mixer so that we can make our bread. So let me go grab up a couple of buckets of water and fall off the edge again, and we will actually figure out all of the routing in a little while once we have sorted out the upstairs a little bit. But I am going to go ahead and knock this block off just so we know that there is an infinite water source down here if we want to use it. On to the more exciting piece of this. We need to set up our automated milling. So the milling that we did before over there, we're going to be using basically exactly the same setup as that mill. I actually pulled one of the millstones off so that we can reuse that. We also have our wooden hoppers. Now for sorting purposes, we need to figure out how we want to do this. There's a variety of different ways that we could potentially be using filters here to make sure that things are going into the right location. And I think what we'll actually do is go ahead and get started with functional storage. So let's grab a storage controller. We need to grab a linking tool, and we need to grab a configuration tool. So that's going to be how we actually are routing things around. Now we also need to buy ourselves some storage. So I'm going to grab some 1x1 drawers. We're going to use that. We don't actually have our pipes unlocked yet. That's going to be at the next tier of automation after this next set of food quests. So we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way for now with belts and hoppers to get things moved around. So that's going to be a little bit tricky for us, but I think we can make do with this with no problem. But we do need to make sure that when we are milling things, the two ingredients come out and go into separate containers, because we have both our actual wheat that's going to be turned into flour, but we also get a side output of wheat seeds, which we don't actually have much of a use for at this juncture, but we might in the future. So we need to assemble a setup that we can have multiple millstones potentially in the future. So those are probably going to be some sort of a row that's going to come along this side, and those will then need to go into a storage controller probably around here or so. Let's just frame this out a little bit, something like this. So let's work backwards a little bit here. We're going to put the basin down right here. We are going to put the hopper here. We are going to put the storage drawer to that here as our first storage drawer, and our secondary storage drawer is going to go here. So we are going to need to lock those momentarily, but we won't worry about that just yet. For those, we need a storage controller, so we put that here. And then I believe we still need to link these. So let's go ahead and configure the controller, and we are going to link all of these drawers together, and that becomes one unit. Great. So now we put our input into here, and then the millstone can actually just go right on top of that, like so. Now we are still going to need to get the wheat into the millstone, so I believe for right now we put a hopper on top, again, at least until we actually have our proper pipes so that we can move things around. And now all we need to do is go back over here and grab up some cogs. So give me some small cog wheels there, and these we can then use to power off of this shaft that we have down below. So let's throw a cogwheel there, let's throw a shaft here, and that's now grinding away for us. Now I do know that we are going to be needing more power in here, so I am going to go ahead and swap this out really quick down here probably. Now how I liked to do this in previous packs was actually to create basically sort of a bus of power that we can then route around the base. So typically what I will do is actually come in just a little bit here and use this as a way of routing it back and forth. So let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to grab up my wrench, and I have my andesite casing as well. We're going to go ahead and break this, and then we are going to take our vertical gearbox and we're going to put this in place right like this. So that's now going to have power coming this way for us, and we can actually hook this up into the floor by putting shafts on this. And then on top of that, we hit this with our andesite casing, and that's going to hide it away nicely. And so now we have access to power wherever and whenever we need it, all along this edge. We can just route it up and in. So let's grab that wheat. We're going to put this here. There's our millstone going at a very nice clip. And now, as we can see, the wheat flour is just getting dumped right in here. So what we can do is go this time and grab our configuration tool. Our configuration tool we hit both of these boxes with. Actually, we only should hit this box because the other one we want to have seeds. So here we can see our wheat seeds are indeed getting dumped out. So we can do the same thing here. We can lock this one. And now only wheat seeds will go in there, only wheat flour goes in here, only wheat flour then gets dumped into our basin, and the extra stays in our drawer. So that's the wheat flour. That is half of what we need for our mixer. Let's go ahead and put our mechanical mixer down here, just like that. That should be relatively easy for us to get more mechanical power off of here. There, now we have our mixer going, no problem there. The only thing that's missing is our water. So let's just drop down into here. And the easy way to get our infinite water source to move our water up there is actually just to go ahead. We're going to put a birch plank down here. That's just going to give us land to build a mechanical mechanical pump on. And then let's grab back up our axe. We remove this block and all of a sudden that turns back into an infinite water source and we can just run our fluid pipes up and out. And now our mechanical power will come from that over there. So these work either direction, I believe. That should start pulling water immediately. And it looks like that is going into our basin. Yes, it is wonderful. Now, if things are going as planned, upstairs here, that should be making all of our dough for us automatically. And it is. So we have our dough right there. We're going to tell this that this recipe that it needs to get is indeed dough, so that it's getting the right thing. And that's just going to make dough for us. All right, so these belts we should now be able to connect up like so. That will pull all of our items out there, and that will now go up here and into our container. So let's put some planks there. I believe that this will go into our drawer here if we indeed put an andesite funnel on the side of it like so. That should now insert into here, and it should lock that as dough. So we need to lock it for dough, I should say. Let's go ahead and grab our locking tool. There we go. And now only dough is going to go in there. Looking at this, that is going the wrong way. So yes, we are indeed going to need a second gearbox so we can flip the direction of that gearbox. So let me grab that up. There's my gearbox. This is now going to be going the right way once I plunk it down on here, just like so. And that's turning the right direction. Perfect. Our shafts are connected, and now we are getting dough into our container. Wonderful. The only thing left to do is go ahead and close this off with casings so it's nice and pretty and you wouldn't even know it's there. Now, the next side of the factory is going to get a little bit more interesting because what we need to do is take this dough and actually cook it. So to cook that dough, we need to buy ourselves a couple of things. We need to buy ourselves an encased fan, first and foremost. Very expensive here, but we have to have it. We're gonna buy up one campfire. And so now we blow through the campfire, and that is how we get our bread. So if you look at our bread recipe, here we go. Bulk smoking is the way to do that using our dough rather than bulk blasting, which requires lava. So this is an easy way for us to get bread back out here. So our bread will be pulled out onto here, and then to actually complete the sequence, we again need to go and buy ourselves up a little bit more of our storage drawers here that we can lock. And I think this will go, I think it should go here because we want it to run into the actual storage drawer. So this then becomes our storage drawer that is going to be for our cooked bread, right like that. We need to lock this up again. And now basically this becomes a filter so that when we do have our andesite funnels going into there, same thing as before, it will only allow cooked bread in here as a result. So this should work for us here. And there we go. Now you can see that this is now sucking through this way. And since that is pulling, what we can do is actually put down our campfire right here on this block. I don't believe that'll light anything on fire. It should keep anything from blowing fire at us. And that means this block right here will cook anything that comes across it. So let's grab our last andesite funnel, hook this up, and now our dough will start going into that spot and become cooked. Now, we can do one thing to speed this up here. It's pretty expensive, but we can grab our brass funnels instead, pull this off, and instead put our brass funnels down. That means a whole stack of dough will come out at a time, and that will cook all at once. So we've got a little bit of money left. Let's start trying to spend that. We need to go ahead and buy ourselves a slicer. So that's going to be 1 coin here for our slicer. The slicer takes a tool. So we are going to go ahead and buy ourselves our iron knife to go in the slicer. And then the last thing that the slicer is going to need is indeed going to be a basin to do its slicing in. So in theory, with those ingredients in hand, we can put down our basin here, and we can attach our slicer directly on top of it like so, put our knife into that, and this, once we put a funnel on here, should start pulling bread down into our slicer, and that will get sliced up into sliced bread. So now what we need to do is actually connect the slicer up to power, and we're going to do that the same way that we have been doing. We are going to need at least one gearbox, and we are going to be needing at least one cogwheel set for that. So let's go ahead and grab that up. Let's go ahead and burn all of those while we are at it. Submit that, grab up our cogwheels, grab that, and our gearbox. There we go. And now we should be able to start running this direction. Oh, and it looks like this is overflowing. We don't want it to overflow. We will deal with that momentarily. But for now, let's go ahead and connect these shafts up and then get this flowing in the right direction. There's our vertical gearbox, like so. Shafts then can run up here, and then all we need to do is drop one cogwheel on top here, and this should, oops, I just lost wherever I put that. Oh, I put it over there, that's why. This is now going to be flowing as soon as we get the power situation sorted out. Let's go ahead and cover up this andesite casing, and it looks like for now, until we buy some more cogwheels, we are going to need to slow things down considerably. So let's drop this all the way back down to 32 for now. There, everything is back and running. All right, there we go. Now we have it working. It just turned out that we needed a combination of both gearboxes and encased chain drives to get this to turn in the right direction. And now we have that set up. It is annoying, but it works. Let's go ahead and finish this off nice and neatly by placing down another functional drawer here and go ahead and start putting all of our bread in there. We do need to grab our andesite funnel. Let's put that right on the side there. And we are just going to go ahead and throw down our bread. That should just start working here, I believe. All right, let me go ahead and toss this on the ground, toss this on the ground. I know, health code. I hear ya. There we go. So this is now on this nice, clean, and sterile belt, and that's what we're all agreeing to. And we're going to go ahead and lock this drawer as well. Okay, great. And now we need to add another fan here. I believe since this fan is going this direction, if we put a fan on the back side of it, it should blow in the opposite direction if I have this set up correctly. So let's go ahead and check that. That's going to be in our advanced machines here. Grab up one more encased fan. Let's put that down right here to see if I got this correct or not. That's not the way you go. There you go. Now you're going the right way. So we just need to buy ourselves up one more campfire, just like that. I am going to go ahead and put this on a fire-safe block of some sort. Do I have anything cheap laying around? Yeah, let's just go ahead and buy ourselves an extra andesite casing. We'll use one of those to plonk it on. I know that was very expensive for the amount of money we have, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. We're just going to grab the one. I don't know why I ended up placing both of those, but whatever. There. Now this is going to blow through here and cook anything that goes through here. And now, once we get this set up, I believe actually what we need to do is extend the funnel so that it's actually further back on this container. Actually, the easiest way to do this is we go ahead and we put our drawer right smack on top, just like that. And from here, we can now put our funnel here, and the other funnel goes here. So this should then, if I can get it turned the right way, drop all of our bread slices out just like so. And unfortunately, this is going in here, which is not, this is not what we want. This is not what we want. Okay, let's fix this. Fix this. We forgot the cardinal rule here, which is this has to get locked. So before we take that on, before we put this on, let's go ahead actually, and we'll use a brass funnel as well. We're gonna go the other direction with it. There. Now these should be getting, thrown off the side. That's not what you're, Okay, that's not what you're supposed to do. And there we go, toast slices. We put the toast slices in here, we lock this up nicely, and now that problem shouldn't happen anymore. The funnel will now block these from actually going where we don't want them to. So with that going that way, we just go ahead and put our gearbox back, and then this should start working as soon as we fill this back up with all of our bread slices. So yeah, there we can see this is getting stuck now, and eventually all of this lovely bread will pop out and then become toast slices. There's 2 stages left. We have to assemble our avocado toast as well. So we need to go ahead and buy up another slicer. Let's go ahead and grab that slicer there. We are going to need to buy ourselves up another basin, just like so. And the thing that we're actually going to need to do here is to build and deploy our slices of avocado actually onto our toast. And for that, we are going to need a deployer, which is going to take basically the last of our money. So we are pretty poor right now. I might need to actually stop and go make a whole bunch more stuff in the near future here. So we're going to try and reuse as much as we can of our existing setup. Now, ideally, we're going to pull the toast right back out this side of this container here. So this belt, I can actually just keep extending along here and use this as my place that I'm actually going to be placing my deployer as well. So we can extend our belt by just clicking on it with another belt. And actually what we want to do is put this right here, so it's going to keep rolling through. I'm going to do that one more time here because my deployer, I actually want to go down right on this belt. So shift right click, there is my deployer. Now, the only thing left is to get the actual avocado slices in here once we've sliced them. So since the deployer is actually up pretty high, we're probably gonna have to put some sort of a contraption that goes up and around and into this, which ideally means we need to have a storage container somewhere up here on top of this, as well as a funnel. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves, let's see here. I don't know how fast things are gonna be coming through. Can we afford a iron one at this point? You know, we're pushing our luck here, but I'm gonna go ahead and splurge on a real hopper from Minecraft. I'm gonna put that, whoa, right on the top of this. And then on top of that, I'm gonna put my oak drawer as well. This is where our slices are going to go. Now, to get things into that, we are going to need to go ahead and put some sort of a funnel on the side here, and then route our various ingredients all the way up there. So that will be the bottom of our belt right there. Let's go ahead and rotate this around like so. So let's see here. The basin needs to be right above this bottom edge. So I believe that means the basin has to go right here, there, just like I said. And now, before we get this started, we are going to need to put our slicer on here, just like so. And the thing that we are last missing here is going to be one more of our iron knives. There we go, just like that. Okay, so now all that remains is to, of course, hook up all of the power to all of these various pieces. Alright, we've restructured this a little bit, so let's see if our grand design actually works here. So I've moved the slicer over here to the floor, so now it's cutting up our avocados coming out of this drawer. These go up the conveyor belt. We had to put in another storage controller because we don't have a good way of filtering right now, so our avocado pits are going in one drawer, and our second drawer here is getting the actual sliced avocado, which goes to our deployer. Now our toast is still coming out the same spot, and all of this is wired up a little bit higgledy-piggledy, but it's gonna work for our purposes, I think. So let's go ahead and drop this on the conveyor and see. There we go. We are now making avocado toast. Lovely, lovely avocado toast in our, let's say, 75% hygienic factory setup here. So this, I believe, will fit the bill. Now, the only thing left that we need to do here is actually hook this in to our task screen. So for that, we are going to need one more wooden hopper here. Let's go ahead and cut this block out from underneath. And I think we're going to put our task screen down right here on the floor. So let's grab this up, task screen goes here, and we are going to change our task to our avocado toast. There we go. All right. So now if we put our hopper into there, this should be slowly starting to fill up. And once this hits 64, we're going to get those 4 lovely coins directly into our inventory. Now, I will admit, in trying to set all of this up, I did have to go back and make a lot of money, so I had to make a bunch more avocado toast by hand. Thankfully, most of this machine was working, so it saved me a lot of time and trouble. I just had to cut up all of the avocados. But now we are good to go, and this is, finished, if not a little dangerous. And with our little remaining money, I went ahead and bought all of the windows and doors here to frame this in, so it should now pass health code inspection. Everything is properly closed in and secured, and that means we now have a sterile environment. Well, that one took a little bit longer than expected, but I'm pretty happy with the results. We now have our first completely automated factory for producing our various meals here. So we have our avocado toast factory 100% complete. Now, we're not going to build a factory for every single meal in this pack because there's a lot of different cooking recipes in this pack, but at least now we have a steady source of income. As long as I keep supplying this with wheat and avocados, we will have as much money as we need for the rest of the pack, or at least for the near foreseeable future. So I'm gonna go get to harvesting and load this up, and then hopefully we will be rolling in the dough very, very shortly. So that brings us to the end of this episode of Enterprise Architecture. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends!